Vowel production involves the vocal folds making a vibration to create a sound source, that source being shaped by the vocal tract, where the vocal tract has no significant closure. The velum is raised so that the air flow and therefore the sound go through the oral tract only. The configuration of the vocal tract is determined by the positioning of the jaw, the tongue body, and the lips. In Monophthong vowels, we have a single vowel quality, so one primary configuration of the jaw, tongue body, and lips. In a diphthong vowel, we have a substantial change in quality from an on-glide quality with one set of characteristics to an off-glide quality with a distinct set of characteristics. The International Phonetic Alphabet Vowel Chart arranges the different vowel qualities in a quadrilateral that represents the articulatory space, roughly a person facing to the left, so the front vowels on the left side of this quadrilateral, the back vowels on the right side, the central vowels in the middle, and the different heights for vowels representing how raised the jaw and tongue are, represented from the top where it's marked as close to the bottom where it's marked as open. In English, we have extreme vowel positions, the so-called corner vowels that map out the full range of the articulatory space. E to oo among the high vowels, a to ah among the low vowels. On the left in this image, we have the distinction between E and oo, where you can see the blue outline with the tongue body shifted more forward for the E compared to the oo. On the right image, we have the a versus ah production, where again, in the a, the tongue body is shifted significantly to the right toward the front of the vocal tract compared to the ah. With the red lines that have been overlaid over this image, you can see the effective distinction in tongue height. So the highest of the tongue positions for the E vowel is the upper red line. The lowest of the tongue positions for the ah vowel is the lower red line. And so that difference in raising of the tongue represents the height dimension. So among our primary dimensions for describing vowels, we have tongue height or vowel height, the extent to which the jaw and the tongue body are raised, bringing the tongue body close to the palate. In this production, the jaw and the tongue can contribute to different degrees, as indicated in the figure on the right. So on the right, we have several articulations of the same vowel in the upper image marked A, where the tongue body ends up in roughly the same position, but if you look at the location of the teeth and the lips, they vary considerably, indicating that the amount of jaw raising that's happening for these different articulatory configurations varies. So this would be the production of the same vowel, but perhaps in different consonant contexts that would vary how raised the jaw needs to be. In the B image, what has been done is all of those images in A have been taken to put the jaw in a fixed position, and if you do that and look at where the tongue is relative to that jaw position, you can see a difference that represents how much the tongue has to raise when the jaw is lower in the solid line versus how much the jaw has to raise, which is less in the dotted line when the jaw is higher. Our tongue height dimensions go from high to mid to low. In front qualities such as E versus A versus A in the words heat, hate, and hat. In back vowels, the qualities oo to o to ah, such as in the words poop, pope, and pop. This degree of height is described as close versus open in the IPA, so the tongue being close to the roof of the mouth, the jaw being relatively close to the upper teeth, versus the tongue being low and the jaw being opened. Another primary dimension of vowels is tongue advancement or vowel place, the extent to which the tongue body is pulled forward toward the alveolar ridge, which also has the effect of opening up the pharynx, or back toward the rear pharyngeal wall, which opens up the front of the oral cavity and fills in the pharynx. This dimension goes from front to central to back. So for the high vowels, we have E in the front and U in the back, as in heat and hoot. Among the mid-high vowels, we have A versus versus O, such as in date versus dirt versus dote. In the low-mid vowels, we have E versus versus aw, as in bet versus but versus bought. And in the low vowels, we have A versus ah, such as in hat versus hot. For vowels that have roughly the same height and advancement, the dimension that differentiates them is referred to as tense versus lax. Tense vowels have a greater muscular activation and are longer than lax vowels. There is also a distinction in the occurrence of tense versus lax vowels in simple words with one syllable. English does not have any words with lax vowels in an open syllable where there isn't a coda consonant, whereas tense vowels can occur anywhere. So the tense vowels such as E, A, U, O, Aw, Ah, and the diphthongs all can appear in single syllable words without closing consonants. So we have things like he and hey and who and ho. We have things like paw, ha, her. Among the lax vowels, I, a, again, and where we'll get to that distinction between the us and ers later. Those lax vowels don't appear in simple open syllable words, so we don't have words like hi or heh or ha or huh. There needs to be a consonant closing those things off. The final primary dimension for vowels is lip rounding. In English, lip rounding is somewhat redundant with other characteristics, so we don't have a distinction between a vowel that is rounded and the exact same vowel that is unrounded. Lip rounding involves both pursing and protruding the lips. The distinction can be referred to as rounded or unrounded. In some languages, there's a distinction between that and retracted or spread, where the lips are more distinctly put in a sort of a flat, wide, retracted state. Our rounded vowels are our higher back vowels, such as oo and o, aw, and and our unrounded vowels are the rest. The front tense vowels tend to be retracted. On this image, we have an ultrasound image of a tongue contour, taken as shown by putting an ultrasound transducer under the chin of a person speaking. And in the lower image, we have tracings of the tongue contour as indicated by red dots in the upper image relative to the palate for a variety of different vowel qualities in German. So, for example, in a light purple, we have E, that high front vowel, and in a darker purple, we have A, that lower back vowel. German's a little bit different than English because it has a front rounded vowel, which is just like E, but rounded, and a front rounded vowel, which is just like A, but rounded. And you can see in the cases where there are two sets of very overlapping lines, the tongue position is the same, so the distinction between these vowels would only come in rounding. English does not happen to have any vowels like that, but it is a possible way vowels are produced across the languages of the world.